Hi, I'm Shane.
And I'm Miranda. We're Chicky. Join us as we undertake our biggest road trip to date, 5 months around Australia in a 4-wheel drive.
After a year of closed borders due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were finally able to travel from New Zealand to our closest neighbour, my home country of Australia.
Each episode will take you to a different region in this diverse continent and get up close to its unique wildlife, camping in the outback and Aussie bush.
If you ever wanted to explore Australia, this series is for you. In this episode, we head east via the Blue Lake in Mt Gambier and cross the border into Victoria. There we take on the world-famous Great Ocean Road with its dramatic coastline and cliff formations, including the iconic 12 Apostles.
We explore the ancient rainforest and redwood forest of Great Otway National Park, meeting some of the native locals along the way.
Upon our return to civilization, we embrace the amazing food and metropolitan lifestyle of Melbourne, Australia's culture capital.
Heading into the Yarra, we learn a bit about the native fauna at the Healesville Wildlife Sanctuary.
Before driving through the scenic Black Spur Drive into the Victorian Highlands on our way to the New South Wales border.
Join us on Global Travel Stories.
In our previous episode, we explored the scenic landscape and abundant wildlife of Australia's third largest island, Kangaroo Island. So, we are in Mt Gambier at the Blue Lake. It's an old volcanic lake. It goes back about 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, and the crater itself is still used as the town's drinking reservoir, known for its beautiful blue colours there. Mt Gambier is about 20 kilometres from the border of Victoria, so we are actually saying goodbye to South Australia today and hello to Victoria. So it should be an interesting day. We're staying overnight tonight just outside the town of Warrnambool at a scout camp.
Just crossed the border into Victoria. We are the only ones on this road. There is nobody here. We've been driving for a while. South Australia still has the border closed to Victoria until 2 days from now, so for now we're the only ones really going out or in.
Yeah, and no one wants to cross into Victoria right now because they have more COVID cases than anywhere else in the country at this stage. But the vaccination rate's pretty high and the numbers seem to be decreasing a little bit. Plus we're double vaxxed and we're about to get our third booster shot while we're here in Victoria as well. So we're not too worried about catching or spreading COVID. But always fingers crossed, touch wood. Alrighty, so we are here in Victoria at the start of the Great Ocean Road. We just stopped in Warrnambool and did a little bit of shopping, and we're staying tonight here at Brucknell Scout Camp at the start of the Great Ocean Road, and tomorrow we're going to see the world famous 12 Apostles. But go for a nice little afternoon walk around here. Apparently I've seen some posts on Wikicamps, which is what we use to choose our campsites, and people have seen koalas and all sorts of things through here, so let's see what we can see.
We are exploring the iconic Great Ocean Road, so there will be multiple stops along the way because there's so many different viewpoints, and then we'll hopefully see the 12 Apostles for sunset. That's the plan.
So our first stop on the Great Ocean Road is
Bay of Islands.
And that's a coastal reserve. We just read that it was a 33-kilometre stretch that looks after a whole bunch of marine animals such as fur seals, fairy penguins, a whole bunch of bird life around here as well. So it should be pretty cool.
Oh my god, that is so cool. I was not expecting that on the first stop of the day.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my god, look at that.
So this stop was Hallidale Point, named after a shipwreck from 1908 that crashed just out there. It's now under 10 meters of water, and the whole coastline here is renowned for shipwrecks, so you might learn a little bit more about those later on. Falling down, falling down, falling down. Actually, did you know London Bridge did fall down? This bridge out here was actually a dual arch bridge that connected back to the mainland up until recently, and it collapsed. And it basically shows how this coastline was formed. Between 10 and 25 million years ago, the limestone foundations that we have here were formed under the ocean floor, and over time, the sea levels have changed. After the last ice age, the sea level rose about 6,000 years ago to the point that it currently is today, and it's constantly eroding away at the coastline, which is why we have these beautiful structures off the coast that are sort of forming and collapsing as time goes on. We'll see some more of those sort of features coming up. Alrighty, we're at Loch Ard Gorge. There's a number of really beautiful little hikes around here. We're just going to do a couple of lookouts and check out the spectacular beaches around here. Alrighty, Chicky, where are we heading now?
The 12 Apostles.
This is the most iconic feature of the Great Ocean Road. Once you see it, you'll know exactly what it is if you don't know what I'm talking about already.
The 12 Apostles were formed by erosion. Extreme weather conditions from the Southern Ocean gradually eroded the soft limestone to form caves in the cliffs, which then became arches, then in turn collapsed, leaving rock stacks up to 50 meters high.
We spent the evening at the nearby Princetown Recreation Reserve campground in the company of superb fairy wrens. The following morning, we departed early to walk down the famous Gibson Steps to admire this spectacular coastline from below.
Currently, there are 8 apostles left. The 9th stack collapsed dramatically in 2005. So we just visited the Gibson Steps as well as the 12 Apostles for one last look at the Great Ocean Road before heading further along. Today we have quite a few stops on our itinerary, including Wreck Beach, Cape Otway National Park, and a few waterfall stops before we go to our campsite, which is just outside of Lorne. The region known as Shipwreck Coast runs from Moonlight Head to Port Fairy along the Great Ocean Road. It gets its name from the 700 shipwrecks that have occurred in this area. The anchor of the Marie Gabriel came from a smash just off the head in 1869 and can be seen on Wreck Beach.
So that was Wreck Beach. Now we've got a lot of stairs to climb. A lot. And we'll be heading into Great Otway National Park. Alrighty, we're at Hopeton Falls here in the Great Otway National Park. Hopeton Falls is a 30-metre waterfall, and we're going to see a few different waterfalls today in this beautiful forest. It's amazing. So we're about to enter into the Californian redwood forest. It's a forest full of non-native, obviously Californian redwoods, also known as sequoias. They were planted in 1936, and they're pretty massive. They are among the tallest species of tree in the world, or they are considered the tallest species of tree in the world. Pretty much neck and neck with the mountain ash that are also native to this region as well. Tallest tree in the world is a little bit, I think 115 meters tall, and the mountain ash, the tallest one, is 110. Tallest redwood is about 1,000 years old, and these ones here are only planted in 1936, so these are just babies, and they're massive. It's pretty cool. The Forest Act of 1907 mandated a program to test the adaptation of foreign tree species, as timber was needed quickly for construction. The majority of the experiments across the state were pine forest, but a small area of the Yarra Valley was chosen to trial coastal redwood. They were known to be very slow growing, so it was only a small test area, but it stands today as a testament to the epic nature of the redwoods. So we're heading down here to Triplet Falls right now, and this forest is absolutely stunning. It's made up of myrtle beech and these big giant trees, which are the mountain ash, the tallest trees in Australia. These aren't that old. A lot of these are regrowth, and a lot of the larger ones were cut down, unfortunately, during the early settlement period, when a lot of this timber was used to sort of help develop the growing Victoria. So the larger ones, unfortunately, are gone now.
In the forest, we discovered relics from the early timber industry, a time that has long since gone by.
Wandering through this ancient forest, I heard a rustle through the ferns. Standing still as a tree, I was greeted by an echidna. one of the world's only 2 species of monotremes, an ancient order of egg-laying mammals.
Upon our return, we also stumbled upon a satin bowerbird, searching for blue items to decorate its nest in order to secure the perfect mate. So we've just arrived at Cape Otway, and now we're heading on a short walk just to get a view of the Cape Otway Lighthouse, which is Australia's oldest surviving lighthouse.
Unfortunately, the lighthouse was closed to the public at this time, but the journey was worthwhile due to some keen eyes spotting several koalas in the trees on our return.
Koalas can sleep for up to 20 hours a day due to their low energy diet and the intense amount of energy required to break down toxic leaves. Despite the rumors, koalas don't get high or drugged out on eucalyptus leaves. It's because the leaves are so low in nutrients that koalas need more sleep than most animals, which basically helps them conserve energy. We are at the last stop of our day at Mate's Rest. We're going to have a little walk around and then head on to our campsite, which is Jameson Campground.
Got the mountain ash, which is the world's tallest flowering tree. You grow up to over 100 meters, and this one's probably over 200 years old. There is a monument with the words "World's Tallest Tree" on an area of cleared land in South Gippsland. The tree was known as the Thorpedale tree and measured at 114 meters high in 1881 and was promptly cut down. The late 19th century in Victoria abounds with stories of giant trees. Due to extensive logging, the largest remaining mountain ash is the Arda tree at 76 meters high. We were just saying that this forest feels so much like being back in New Zealand, and that's because these forests were attached to Australia and Antarctica and the rest of Gondwana land going back about 100,000 years ago. 100 million years ago, I should say, sorry. But yeah, these are prehistoric forests from around the time of the dinosaurs. The tree ferns and the beech trees. It's cool. This is one of the nicer campgrounds we've stayed at so far. This is where we'll be cooking dinner. car. We're at Jameson Creek Campground on the Great Ocean Road, just outside of Lorne. It's starting to rain, but it's nice and warm. It's mild at least, and chill out. So just serving up dinner here. If you want to have a look down here, we've got ourselves a vegetable risotto, a little bit of eggplant, some tomato, carrots, onions, all cooked on our little gas stove right there.
Yummy.
Yeah. Not a bad morning from our campground here on the Great Ocean Road. Packed up, about ready to go.
The official length of the Great Ocean Road is around 243 kilometers or 151 miles. It starts at the surfing town of Torquay and finishes near Warrnambool, or vice versa, as we completed the journey. So we're heading to Melbourne now. We're going to be staying with some friends there. On the way today, we're stopping by Torquay for brunch and Bell's Beach.
So we're here at the world famous Bell's Beach, famous for surfing, of course. Haven't got much of a swell today, but there's still enough waves to draw in a bit of a crowd. A fair few people out there surfing. Featured in such films as Point Break, the original, of course, with Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. It's right at the end of the film. I'm gonna check that out. It's known for its king high tide waves, or massive waves, king waves that occur at certain times of the year. So that was the Great Ocean Road. What do you think of it, Miranda?
The most stunning stretch of coast I've ever seen.
It's pretty amazing. I would compare it to maybe like Highway 1 in California. Sort of driving through it reminded me a little bit of going through a Big Sur area. It's absolutely stunning. But yeah, we're in Torquay right now. We're gonna go and grab some lunch here. After that, we're heading to Geelong. Just to give you a bit of an update on the whole COVID situation, most of Australia is pretty much well under wraps with the COVID. Victoria and Melbourne in particular are still having some problems. So we're actually gonna get our booster shot for our vaccinations, which is probably good timing considering we're in the most COVID-ridden area, I would say, in Australia. But cases are dropping, which is good. It's not sort of going absolutely crazy. Vaccination rates over here are pretty high, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we're gonna spend the next couple of days in Melbourne, but we are going to be cautious, aren't we? We've got our face masks and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we're gonna go grab some brunch now. Alright, Miranda, what'd you get?
Avocado toast. Fancy avocado toast.
That's the fanciest avocado toast. That's Melbourne style avocado toast right there. What do we got here? Look at that. The coat, that's for you, Miranda.
Chicken, and that there is lamb.
Lamb, look at that.
That's the veg.
This is Cody and Evelyn, by the way. So we're doing Thanksgiving for Miranda specifically because she is missing Thanksgiving back home. Do you want to let us know what you got there, Miranda?
So we've got a veggie pie,
Veg pie?
some roast chicken,
Yep.
mashed potatoes, and gravy.
Yep. Excellent. Bon appetit,
And there'll
everyone.
be cookies.
And cookies. So after a day of just chilling out yesterday, recovering from our third dose COVID shots, we're finally ready to go out and explore Melbourne. Second largest city in Australia, and also as well got a whole lot of Christmas sales and Black Friday sales, so we're looking forward to doing a little bit of Christmas shopping. Talking to the people, Cody and Evelyn, that we've been staying with, it's not the normal Melbourne. Melbourne has actually endured the longest lockdown in the world, 262 days of lockdown and 9 months of restrictions due to COVID. So I'm not sure what the vibe's going to be like going in there. We're not 100% sure if it's going to be festive or if it's going to be, you know, The virus is still running rampant, unfortunately, in the city. We're going in anyway and checking it out, and hopefully it'll be good. Oh, and in the afternoon we're also doing Lygon Street for Italian food, because it is known as one of the best places in the world, aside from Italy, of course, to get Italian food. So we're going to go out there and treat ourselves today. Excited, Miranda?
Yeah!
It's Christmas time.
Christmas time!
Luckily for us, the atmosphere was festive and most people seemed to be in good spirits. Great to see things bouncing back from a city that had endured so much during the pandemic.
Melbourne is Australia's cultural capital and one of the world's most multicultural cities. The city's architecture was influenced by late 19th century European architecture and is known to house some of the best art galleries and exhibitions in the country. This melting pot of a city has also resulted in a very diverse food and music culture, adding to the vibrant atmosphere of this creative destination. Melbourne was crowned the world's most livable city for 7 years straight from 2010 until 2017. So we've been roaming around Melbourne, and that gets us pretty hungry. We're gonna get a bite to eat at the Queen Victoria Market. Let's check it out.
We didn't realise, but Queen Street Market, pretty much everything in there closes at about 3 p.m. during the week. So as we got in there, most of the things were closed. But we did hear about a really good gelato place on Smith Street, which is also known as what?
The world's coolest street.
Let's go check out the world's coolest street. In the 2021 global ranking, Melbourne's Smith Street was named coolest street in the world due to it being a lively strip, famous for its wine bars, hip restaurants, live music, and vintage stores. Where are we?
Messina Gelato.
How is it, Miranda?
So good.
So you got mint, and what was the other one?
We got mint chocolate chip and a flavor called Coneception.
Which has?
It's like little bits of
Waffle
delicious
cone.
waffle cone candy. I don't even know.
And I got myself the amaretti and the super dulce de leche, because it's super dulce. So we're in Lygon Street right now, which is famous for its Italian restaurants, some of the best Italian outside of Italy in the world. Debatable, maybe. But we're going to check out some Italian food. This is supposed to be the place to go here on Lygon Street. Universal.
So we have left Melbourne and we now have arrived at the Yarra Valley, which is known as Melbourne's or Victoria's best wine region. We're about to head into Coombe, which had really good reviews, so we'll see what that's all about before heading on to the Yarra Ranges.
So we're at the Healesville Sanctuary in the Yarra Valley, and this place is renowned for its conservation work, helping out with native and endangered species. In fact, it was the first place in the world to successfully breed captive platypus. So we're going to go in and check out the sanctuary and maybe learn a little bit about some of the work they do before heading up into the Yarra Ranges.
So apparently for November and December they're holding events here on Saturdays, like live music and pop-up sellers and stuff like that. Formerly known as the Sir Colin Mackenzie Sanctuary, the Healesville Sanctuary was established in 1934.
I actually want you to change your behaviour, change your habits. I know that can be hard, but it can be also really well worth the effort. We think these birds are certainly well worth the effort. I'm about to tell you one thing that you can do to help out lots and lots of wildlife. And before I do that, what I'd like you to do for me is if you have a mobile phone with you, please get your phone out. There's something you can do with it very shortly that will go a long way to helping out our wildlife. Now, what we want you to do is actually wipe for wildlife. Now, you might not be sure what that means, but we know that trees mean habitat for birds. And unfortunately, here in Australia, we actually flush millions of trees down our toilets every single year. Those millions of trees are being used to make toilet paper. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. They're far better off in the ground than down your toilet. So we want you to wipe for wildlife, and the way to do that is simply switch to using toilet paper that is made from 100% recycled paper products. Keep your trees in the ground. It's such an easy thing for people to do. It does go a long, long way to helping out wildlife. What I would like you to do for me today is make a promise that you are going to do that. Make a pledge. What we want you to do with those mobile phones is simply text the word wipe. WIPE to the number on the banner there. Make your promise you're going to help save a whole lot of wildlife. I think it's going pretty well so far. What did you get, good show? Thanks, mate. Looking at the adaptation these birds have developed today. There's one adaptation all these birds have got that's pretty important on these birds. Their wings, so you get probably about those. And of course, the other thing all these birds need is their feet. And raptors use their feet to catch and kill their prey. They've got fancy footwork. And so is Kevin. So Kevin showing his right foot on your left. Maybe a round of applause there. I know people are going left and right, but it's confusing. I think Kevin's going pretty well. Now, I've got a quick question for the crowd, and I want you to yell out if you can remember. When we had the owl out here, I did mention that owls turn their heads a long way around. Do you remember how many degrees the owl turns their head?
180 degrees.
270, whoever said that's right. Very good. Kev, how far can you see? That's amazing. He actually moved his head, did he? I think he just moved his whole body. Sometimes you get to this bit of the show, I get the feeling Kevin is a bit cheeky. I think he comes out here, I think he wants to look like an idiot. I think he's having a laugh, mate. Some people think the birds are pretty scary. No, we think parrots are scary when they eat it. Does anyone think Kevin's scary? No one. I think Kevin's scary. I'm not afraid to admit it. Kevin is terrifying. You've
guys don't look like you believe me at all, but he is actually as terrifying as a tiger. He's scared of him now? He's just a bit of a show-off. No show-off in dancing. He thinks that he's a bit special, so he does like a little bit of special treatment. I think you guys can wave bye-bye to Kevin for me and say bye, Kev. And say bye-bye.
The Healesville Sanctuary has an array of different native animals from throughout Australia, from the educational bird shows to the reptile and nocturnal marsupial houses to their breeding programs for Tasmanian devils, whose wild populations are under serious threat due to a contagious facial tumour disease. So I got bit by one of these earlier, right here on my pinky. You can see it's a little bit red there. Absolutely excruciating pain. They say they have the most painful sting of any other ant in the world.
The Healesville Wildlife Hospital is an on-site veterinary clinic that assists injured, sick, and orphaned wildlife.
Located just an hour's drive from Melbourne, the sanctuary has a history of breeding native animals and is only one of 2 places to have successfully bred platypus in captivity. It is dedicated to the recovery of 27 threatened native species and is working towards being the world's leading zoo-based conservation organisation. What was your favourite thing?
My favorite thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Your favourite thing that you saw today?
the bird show.
Actually, that was pretty cool. What about your favourite animal?
I can't say that.
You gotta choose
I can't
one.
pick a favorite animal.
You gotta choose the one or the rest suffer.
Get out of here. So we're about to head on the Black Spur Scenic Drive, which is apparently the most scenic drive in all of Victoria. But we'll see about that because we were just on the Great Ocean Road and I'm not sure how it could beat that, but we'll check it out. And then we'll be staying at a free camp tonight called Anderson Mill. The scenic Black Spur Drive is a road between the towns of Healesville and Narbertong and is part of the Maroondah Highway. The scenic road is known for being winding, steep, and lined by tall mountain ash trees among dense tree ferns.
So we're staying tonight up at Anderson Mill, which is a free campground in the Yarra Ranges. It's actually pretty nice. It's very busy tonight. It is a Saturday and the weather's perfect. They've even got a little horse stable here for people to ride in on their horses and camp overnight, which is really cool. Anderson Mill is part of the Bicentennial National Trail, which is Australia's premier long-distance trekking route. It stretches an incredible 5,330 kilometres from Healesville to Cooktown.
So after one short week in Victoria, we are heading over the border today to New South Wales, nearing the end of our journey with only a few weeks left. Tonight we'll be staying at a friend's place on his farm called Eagle Rise Farm, just north of Albury, so that should be fun.
So we're in the small town of Taggy, just outside Marysville in the Victorian Highlands, and we've stopped for some cherries and cherry ice cream. How is it, Miranda?
It's so good.
And we are crossing into
New South Wales! We made it!
We've come full circle. We're back into New South Wales, where we started. Not where we started, but the same state. Welcome to New South Wales.
Welcome to New South Wales.
There you go.
Unfortunately, our time in Victoria was a little shorter than planned due to us running overtime on our trip, so we have put it high on the list of places to return in the near future. After crossing the border, we visited our friends Jerry and his wife Elisa at their farm Eagle Rise in Mullingadra near Albury. We spent a couple days enjoying the rural tranquility of their picturesque location and superb hospitality.
Coming up in our final episode of the series, we spend time with Jerry and Alyssa on Eagle Rise Farm, learning about agroecology and ethical farming in the perfect rural setting.
We head to the highlands along the Great Dividing Range, exploring limestone cave systems at Yarra-Billy.
Climbing up into the high country, we stay in Jindabyne, gaining prime access to summit Australia's highest mountain, Mount Kosciuszko.
We spend some time in Canberra, the capital city of Australia, located within the Australian Capital Territory, exploring its highlights with friends.
We return to the coast and explore its picturesque beaches with a surprise opportunity to experience the Indigenous culture.
Heading up the New South Wales south coast, we explore the rugged beaches and subtropical rainforests of the region.
And finally, we arrive to our final destination, my home region of the Central Coast, New South Wales. We celebrate an early Christmas with family and explore this beautiful area in the conclusion of our 5+ months in a 4-wheel drive around Australia series.
Join us on Global Travel Stories.
At Global Travel Stories, we want to hear what you'd like to see more of. Please leave a comment below and remember to like and subscribe for our big adventures coming soon.